and win through that way.
I do want to credit to Verdant though, because they were absolutely incredible in that last game. And again, near flawless victory, because they came away with a very, very advanced gold lead. They played the map beautifully when they got the first Baron. They played it even better when they got the second one. If they can if they can repeat what happened last game, then it's going to be a quick 3-0, and we're going to have a very quite fast night on our hands. But obviously, we're in draft, sides have swapped, and we've got, Verdant Nativz game 2.
Curious to see what's going to get banned away here. We're obviously talking about the power of the Ivern, the Rel's banned away. The Rumble is still up and available. I feel like if Nativz gives Verdant Rumble again, that is a massive mistake. Kaiser will get removed from Den Voxney. He got a pentakill on it last week. He's such a solid pick for them. Now, Maokai does get taken away as that final ban from the side of Verdant. And now, starting to look at what's been opened, the Rumble is still up and available to Nativz. Obviously, that Ivern we've seen so much of as well in the ban phase is up as well.
Yeah, so something that Verdant could look for is definitely that Ivern Tristana is an extremely good duo, which has very little counterplay, because the Ivern just supports the Tristana and lets her push permanently. Nativz getting their hand on this Rumble, finally. It's very weird to me that this pick is going through all the time, but if Nativz do not third ban that Maokai, then Maokai is just left there as just the best jungler on the patch and just sitting there and be ready to be wand. 2 power picks locked in for the side of Nativz, the Jace and the Rumble. Now, we'll see how they round out this composition with either AD or AP in the bot side. I imagine they'll want more AP.
And a good discussion we were having in the green room was that both of these teams have actually opted for red side. Side selections given to the higher seed. Verdant came into game 1, chose red side. Nativz, obviously coming into game 2 off the back, get side selection for losing and take red side themselves. What we're theorizing is there are just so many power picks right now, you may get 1 but will get 2 angle.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely, and that's what they've done, I think. I think Tristana's great, but handshaking for Rumble in this series especially, as well as Jace's, is really good. Looks like that Verdant have secured that AD mid laner, as well as AD top lane, and they've decided they need some AP. I wouldn't be surprised to see Seraphine, the AP Seraphine, get locked in for Verdant as well.
Well, it has been. So, again, Gooby gets a second game on that Seraphine. Some really big encores in that previous game. Now looking over to Nativz, question is where are they going to look to put their attention? What are they going to put where? They are just running down the clock, taking a little while to think about stuff, but they are going to decide that Nautilus is going to be the pick they want to go for. I like this. I think, the ability to either single out either Nita or Gooby in this game with that depth charge, I forgot the name of the ultimate there, is going to be super impactful for them. But now moving over to ban phase 2, the question is where's the attention going to go now we're into that ban phase?
Verdant have already got just insane team fighting. If they get later into the game, Seraphine Tristana as a duo is incredible. You've got a frontline in Nilla. You expect Axa to pick up something more frontline-esque. He's not particularly prone to opting into the carry-style junglers himself. Could go for Ivern for double enchanters and then have Wendell on something a bit more frontline-oriented. But Verdant have got a very good baseline for that team fighting, where Nativz, they've got an element of win lane, win game about it.
Yeah. Nativz have also locked in their support right now, their Nautilus, so they're banning out counters to the Nautilus in this Braum. You also want to pair off Seraphine with hard engage. Stuff like Leona Nautilus works really well, but they've already got the Nautilus, so maybe you just ban out the Leona to work well with that Seraphine. Oh, Rakan instead.
Okay, well, to be fair, Wendell was
looked,
terrifying on that pick in the previous game. Looking over to that final ban for the side of Verdant now, seeing what they're going to look to take away their final ban. Curious what they're going to go for, actually, because I'm not sure. I can't think.
I do like the Nocturne ban, though, right? We've illustrated that Nativz are, at the minute, looking more toward a fairly active early game. If they're taking the Nocturne off the board, it just sort of adds to... What the Nocturne would have added to their playmaking when they reach level 6. Varus, another champion that does exactly that, and with that removed, makes those playmaking tools for Nativz just a little harder to come by. Now the decision is going to be, do they, sort of pseudo-reveal these flexes? We know that Rumble's probably going into the top lane. Element of it, they could both go into mid and top themselves. Holding the jungle for R5 though, so valuing that counter pick quite highly for Stefan.
Yeah, so they might actually be flexing the Nautilus here. This is something that people have talked about, and they might be trying to hold that Nautilus as a flex for the jungle and the support. I don't think they will do. But still,
Stefan on a dog jungler.
Yeah, honestly, so that would fit the criteria of dog jungler. Like, Nautilus just perma-ganks with hooks, just walks down bot side and walks mid, and there's so much CC. Trundle was actually picked by Verdant on Taxa for last week into a tank jungler. Maybe they anticipate it as well.
I also really like the niche interaction between Trundle and Nautilus. If you see the hook coming, you just throw a pillar up and stop him in his tracks before he hits one of your carries. There's that hard engage that you wanted to pair up with the Seraphine. So again, just frontline DPS for Verdant. They've got this really strong death ball composition and honestly a decent enough topside to make it work.
Alrighty, well, looking towards that final pick
Kindred,
up here for the side of Nativz. Locking in the Kindred there for Stefan. Really solid return pick into that Trundle. Gonna be able to deny that from, you know, as Rudu cited, you know, they expected it to be a tank support, jungler. Instead, they go towards that Kindred. Now, I do worry, but that's quite a squishy team on the side of Nativz. Yes, you have the Lamb's Respite to give you a bit of space and a bit of room to breathe, but if you do get yourself caught by Wendell's Solar Flare or his Engage, someone is going to get popped. And we saw Wendell, someone we were critical of, had a really, really solid game number 1 to this series.
And there is that element of Nativ's pivot, if I feel like, with this 5th pick, where they've got the Sivir, they've got Nautilus, they've got a lot of actually strong going forward, that they've then gone to the Kindred, pivoted entirely toward a very strong, not necessarily disengage, but stand and fight style of composition. And if they're going to start using things like Accelerated Gate and Sivir ulti to be defensive, this Nativ's comp actually kites exceptionally well as well.
Yeah, front to back composition, TLDR, right? For Nativz, I think that's what they've drafted. The only concern is exactly Hipbrain's concern, right? It's, you lack a little bit of frontline, right? You have a lot of backline carries. Rumble, I suppose, can act like kind of a pseudo frontliner because of his shield buffs, where he's, you know, a lot tankier with that shield that scales of percentage health. But still, your only tank, realistically, who can face check is that Nautilus. And Nautilus often doesn't really like to be so frontline because you often see, like, a Nautilus will hook in and he'll just explode, right? A Nautilus support will just absolutely explode. So, bit shaky there. We'll have to see how they pull out these team fights.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. I feel like mid lane is still gonna be that point where we want to keep our eyes on. Last game, Niter was the reason, but Verdant just were able to pull ahead so much further of Nativz. And yes, you have to kind of give Nilly an honor there for just those amazing equalizers at the Dragon. But realistically, they got pressure and they got power on the map because Niter was exceptionally strong, and it felt like Nativz finally found an answer to it a little bit too late by jumping onto him. So it's going to be an interesting one as we go into our second game of the series to see if Nativz can bounce back or if Verdant have just shaken off that kind of like rust that they seem to have on the final week of the regular split and have actually shown us why they came first in the regular split overall.
I do think by and large I'm just very happy with the Verdant draft. The highlighting of lack of frontline, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head really with where the concerns are for Nativz, and if they're not going to be able to address those and don't find that early enough lead to offset the fact that they don't have a front line, I do see them running into some very big stumbling blocks when they get to that death ball 5v5 situation.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. I think Verdant definitely have I think they just had the better draft right now. I also think they're the easier draft to execute because, like you said, great for kiting. There is a really, really solid amount of kiting for Nativz. But it's one of those kind of just like headbutt the keyboard comps from Verdant where it's like you just headbutt R as Leona. As long as you land it on like 1 or 2 people, that's pretty much guaranteed going to be a rough day for them because you're going to have the pillar coming down. You're going to have just the Renekton slicing and dicing straight onto the backline. The Seraphine R is going to be unbelievably impactful. The question is are they going to be able to buy that space? Are they going to be able to get away? And I guess the difference this time is they're the ones running over the equalizer. They're the ones going to be pushing up into that and slowly getting toasted by the Rumble.
Yeah, so just to highlight what will probably happen early game, it's another one of those games where for Stefan, priority matters, right? Because he's securing marks this time, right? Which lanes have priority? Where can he invade to? And topside, he has Shikari on this Rumble where he always has priority on Rumble. Rumble absolutely destroys Renekton in the early game. Sorry, Hipbrain, I have to talk about Renekton again. Essentially, Rumble permanent pushes with this Flame Spitter, and Renekton can't match because Rumble's Q cooldown is much lower, and it out damages Renekton's a lot. So you get permanent prior there for Stefan's marks. I think Tristana gets priority into this Jace, and you lose priority bot side as well, but you do have priority topside, so expect more action topside around Shikari.
Oh, well, I guess we'll find out. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the thing is Shikari's so good at like just not losing lane. That's like my major thing is like every time you look at like a top lane matchup, you can say what you like about it, but like as long as Shikari's not on the winning side of that matchup, he's just chill, right? At
some point you have to turn nameplates on, right? And then remember, yes, it's Shikari I'm leaning against, or that he is on the enemy team here, so ultimately the lead that I'm going to get is going to be very minimal if it really exists at all. Other small thing about these drafts that I do want to point out is that we saw the Sivir locked in for Den Voxney. It's not necessarily the most meta champion at the minute, but still offers a lot of wave clear, and I've seen a couple of Sivirs just opt into Static Shiv just to really double down on the fact that you cannot siege post sort of 10 minutes into the game once that Shiv comes online. The one thing that I will say with this Sivir is you can have a tendency to not go cleanse because you've got a spell shield. You still need to go cleanse this game. I'm looking at the composition that Verdant have drafted. I see Ruthless Predator for one. I see everything that comes out of the Verdant bot lane being Seraphine Leona. There's just all too many things that need to be cleansed away from here, and a spell shield unfortunately isn't going to be enough.
Yeah, I actually totally agree with you on that one. I also do worry that Sivir plays a little bit into my biggest criticism of Den Voxney, something I've talked about a fair amount today, where it's that, it's Sivir, it's the 300 CS champion, but...
I can just get this wave quickly, please.
That's the thing, is like, Den Voxney, when he's not playing that style and he's playing, for the team, I think he genuinely is the best player in the league. And when he does play this style, he's still very good at it, but his team will suffer and they will give up objectives and other things. So I do hope to see Den Voxney not just like turbo tunnel on farming waves. We'll have to see though. We are into the game. Apologies, we were having some similar issues, but able to resolve them a little bit quicker this time going into this second game. And you'll be happy, Rudu, because Den Voxney has taken cleanse.
Very happy indeed. The amount of times CC'd AD carries pop ghost, and a little part of my soul just withers away.
That's the
Voxney, they're
classic,
not falling into that trap.
Yep, and you see standard starts, 5-point starts, no crazy invades. Maybe the players are a bit too nervous, but something I want to highlight is that Wendell, in this early game, he is on a more, a less slippery champion, right? A less slippery champion that is way more prone to getting caught. Let's see how he plays in the early game. And if he does perform well, again, I will be very convinced that he's improved a lot since last week. But referring to jungle clears, does look pretty standard. Often you'll see Kindreds just do like 3 camps into ganks or 3 camps into invades. Trundle might throw a wrench in that. It is a good pick into the Trundle because you do kite him very well, but we'll have to see what Stefan does with his pathing.
Yeah, it's very easy to just jump over the pillar, right? And then
exactly.
the Trundle has to walk all the way around it as well. So Stefan's just saving the hail of arrows, more than happy to kite out that Trundle, and Conqueror as well for Stefan, worth pointing out. So another rune geared toward that late game. Sometimes you'll see press the attack if you're looking to skirmish early on. It's not the case though for Stefan, going to be looking to secure those marks, hopefully safely, and then be a menace as we get later on into the matchup.
Alrighty, well, Vladdy, as kind of expected, getting shoved in a little bit earlier here in this game. Obviously, problem with the Jace is he does take a little bit of a while to come online. Unless they do get accelerated, do get those early kills.
Yep.
Realistically, you're looking at the 3-item spike, but again, there's a lot of shielding coming in just from that Seraphine, so it can alleviate some of the burst and some of the poke that can come in from range here from this Jace, like we saw in the previous game.
Look, Taxa, he's trying to, you could tell he skipped so many camps up, and to try and find a cheese gank with Nilly. This is something I highlighted like early on. They always love to gank Nilly. I guarantee if we had the early game of last game, we could watch that. They would have done pretty much the exact same thing. They absolutely love giving Nilly attention to make sure he wins lane. Some nice full 100 Fury trades come out, but still, you can see the power of the Rumble early game.
It's like the best Renekton trade you can hope for, still loses out.
It sucks,
right?
yeah.
This is just the nature of the matchup that you highlighted in the draft. The thing of the Rumble is that he's always going to push the lane, just if he's taking trades with Flamespitter. So this does open up for Taxa to be in the top lane and potentially catch out Shikari.
Yeah, Shikari, his spider senses were tingling earlier. This time around, definitely playing the lane a lot more further up. He's stepping forward. That's going to be him in danger. Pillar's going to come down. There it is, onto Shikari. He needs to try and survive this one. His W gets turned off by Nilly, but he's doing a lot of damage. Nilly has to flash away, missing the harpoon. And first blood to Taxa.
And all this attention topside. You see Taxa, he definitely wants it. He skipped out Krugs, he skipped out Bluebirds, he skipped out Wolves, skipped out Crab as well, just to sit topside, watching the wave state, seeing that Shikari with these trades is pushing out. Props to Nilly too. Maybe he's trading in a way that baits Shikari to push forward and potentially try to get this gank off. So really good stuff from Taxa. You could see that they're definitely sticking to the same game plan as last week.
And Stefan didn't actually get anything back on the bot side now. We can argue the value of this vision and see whether or not that's going to prove to be valuable to Stefan a little bit later on, because he did get 2 very important wards down, one for the second spawn of Raptors, and then on those Krugs that we know are going to be first spawn as well. So Tax's pathing going to be very much documented for the next couple of minutes or so. And also worth noting that Stefan did roll very highly on the Crab as well, managed to pick up his first mark on the bot skull Crab when that spawned.
It's definitely going to be a nice little pickup for him off the back of that one. But Taxo with that successful gank, still going to be sitting quite pretty. Nilly, meanwhile, even if he does get that first assist in helping the top side, is still playing into Rumble. So he's still having a miserable go of it, unfortunately. And unless Taxo wants to spend a lot more time up top side, I kind of expect that just to be the case for this lane. As Stefan, I actually don't really foresee him wanting to put too much attention into that top side of the map at all. If it can be helped, he'd rather just, you know, power farm up, get those marks, and kind of play towards Vladdy and Den Voxney.
Definitely at level 6, you don't really want to head topside. That's like Renekton's strongest point. His ulti might be one of the best in the games in terms of potential 2v2 skirmishing and 3v3 skirmishing, especially around that Rift Herald. Stefan is going to pat down to bot side, where he does have priority at the moment, and the side of Verdant's bot lane is just recalled. Maybe they'll stop the dragon here.
Looking at the couple
mid prior
stats
though
that we've seen come through from our bot lane is that, oh, hold the point. Drake started by Nativz. I don't know if they're going to fully commit to this one, and although Tax headed up to that top side, so it looks like it may just be a free grab for the Nativz side. I, for one, if we see this series go the distance, not going to be happy if we see Sivir Seraphine handshake trades the entire series. You can tell that Den Voxney is, for this game, going to be quite happy, sat back with that cull. Back to base and grab that very early on. A Seraphine very good at neutralizing a bot lane wave state, but when we've got 2 very, very powerful AD carries in their own right, I for one just want to see a little bit more flair from them through the early game. Let's get some 2v2 trades going. Let's see some skirmishing and really put the hands to work.
Yeah, I totally agree. To be honest, I like the state of the meta because it's quite explosive. I'd rather we ban Seraphine and let Rel in the game, man. Like, yeah. I know Rel's like absolutely insanely broken, but I want some action, and Rel always gives me action.
It raises the question. I want to know where you guys sort of fall in on this. Of oh, Stefan, he gets interrupted. He's fine. You know how Cassante has obviously been a very powerful pick, but demands a certain element of execution, right? Has mechanics to him himself. Where do you fall on the line of I would rather see 1,000 games of Cassante played well versus 1,000 games of Ornn?
I would absolutely love for Cassandra to stay meta. I completely agree with you in that it's the tank with the most skill expression, and in general has the most skill expression, right? Of like one of the most skill expression in top lane in general. Because in solo queue, if you look at the solo queue Cassandra stats, he's got like a 44% win rate or something, just because the champ's so hard to pilot. But no, absolutely. I fall in the camp of I would much rather have that than Ornn every single game. I like the current meta, though. I think Rumble and Renekton are great, albeit a bit too OP for my liking, but that's just the direction they want to take the game in. Regardless, Wendell's actually making a play up the top side. You can see Nativz Shikari's wave state is pushing out, so maybe Wendell camps this bush until the wave pushes out here.
Need to see Stefan hover this. He's got red buff to take right now, but if he hovers up towards this top side instead of going to the Raptors, there's a chance they can turn this around. Otherwise, it is just going to be Shikari in very much a lot of danger.
Looks like Shikari is playing chill.
Looks scary.
It is very scary. Kindred's actually pathing away. They've got the Trundle coming in as well. He just equalizes the wave. That's really smart play there by Shikari. He knew something was amiss.
Spidey senses absolutely. Doesn't see Leona down bot side for ages. There's a typical rule where you do not play for about a wave's worth of time. Right, 30 seconds of time. You don't see the support down bot side, you just don't do anything. And Shikari sniffs it out. Really well played to him.
It's that question as well of how well Nativz are communicating, right? Is Twist and Boxing saying, okay, there's a support recall timer here, you need to be careful for Wendell leaving base. Just all of those intangibles that we can't find out for ourselves always intrigue me the most. And you can see it right there, that whether it's just Shikari's spider senses tingling or Nativz as a communicative squad, making sure that that advantage isn't getting given over. Either way, very nice to see from Shikari.
Well, for now, as we're at that 8-minute mark, the game's in a better state for Nativz than it was last time. There is still a gold lead, though, over to the side of Verdant. Mostly just off the back of that first blood. Also, a pretty significant farm lead starting to build up for Nita in the mid lane. I would start to worry about this Jace pick for Vladdy this kind of trend continues going into game number 3, if he keeps picking Jace and then kind of losing lane for it, I would start to get a little bit concerned.
And for me as well, if we hadn't seen Vladdy perform on this Jace so many times as well, those questions may start to seep in a little earlier. But he has been, again, just one of the best performers of Jace that we've seen in the league. He's got the most player of the games as well out of anybody through the regular season. Had 6 individually, the majority of those having been played on the Jace. 4 plays his most played this regular season. So certainly a pick that he's more than familiar with. And with those plays, those wins that we've seen him get on them, it grants him an element of leeway.
Yep. 1 minute 30 till Dragon. Now Nativz have a choice. Do they play for this Dragon setting of vision, or do they play off of this pushing wave for Shikari? I think they want to make sure that Shikari can crush this wave, because they're having none of it since the last gank, where Wendell just sat top soaking a bunch of XP for ages. Like, Dead Voxney gets engaged on.
Instant cleanse, immediately gets caught, has the ghost, has to flash away. But he has got to be careful because Tax is in the area. Then Voxney is just sprinting away. Taxa reveals himself and then Voxney is nowhere to be seen.
It is a long run back to that brush, but it's not just a force away from a wave. It's actually a herald put down and some
TP for Shikari. Might come down here.
Gold. There's no ward for him other than this. Or he would have to go to the turret, I suppose, but he can continue to bully out on this top lane. Despite that first kill that went over, you can still see he's more than had free reign.
Oh, Knight is in danger, but actually they might have found the turnaround here. Stefan has to jump away. Twist is on the way in. Knight are heavily chunked out. Wendell just instantly on it with a Zenith Blade. Really, really big play.
Lots of action around this Dragon. You see both teams desperately trying to maintain river control and just drop wards, as many as they possibly can, down in the bot side. Mid prior over to Nativz. Let's see what they can do. I imagine they're going to move into the enemy jungle as well to drop wards for that Shikari TP. Both top lanes have TP for that Unleashed teleport at 10 minutes. You can see him moving back in this bush here. Maybe he goes for a recall. He does have a lot of gold, and then becomes ready.
And I feel for Twist a little bit here. He's been trying to recall for the last sort of 2 minutes or so, but he's had to cover dives, try and make sure that the Herald doesn't take a turret, and then cover the fight that was about to break out in the mid lane. Won't actually have any wards to put down if we see Verdant come to contest this. Fortunately enough, it looks like Stefan is going to get this second Dragon now for Nativz uncontested. Still only on that 1 marker though, on the Kindred. Reminder for everyone that the general golden rule is that you're looking for 4 marks on the Kindred before you are not necessarily ascended, but a lot stronger on the Kindred, and then every 3 marks after that you get a little spike as well. But making your way up to 4 marks is that pivotal hallmark of success.
Well, 11-minute mark, 12-minute mark actually, I swear I can speak. 2 Dragons over to the side of Nativz. Game's definitely in a better state for them, but then Voxney may find himself in a little bit of danger. Has popped the ultimate, is just going to try and clear out the wave before a potential dive can come in, and Wendell's taking quite a lot of tower shots here in response. Then Voxney, he is basically playing solo, but he's doing a really good job of playing solo. Able to survive a lot that is being thrown at him, as Twist will now rejoin his ADC in the bot side.
Yep. Mark spawning in the river, but Stefan's having none of it. He's just heading topside. There's a pushing wave for Shikari as well, and maybe he's just going to facilitate him, or full clear down to bot side. Bot lane's a little bit scary though. If you take a look at the HP of that turret, it's not very high. It's 1 plate left, as Verdant might actually be going down to bot side to sweep and potentially look for a dive. Doesn't look like it though. It looks like they're just going to go straight to mid.
I'm seeing as well a second dagger in the inventory of Ben Voxney. Looks to the world as though he's going to be heading for a Kraken Slayer, not opting for that pure wave clear route. It may have served him a little better for this specific juncture, but will scale definitely better as we hit those team fight timers. Spidey Centers again. Nativz, letting them down this time.
Yeah, no summoner spells up for Dem Voxney, but he is able to just clear through the wave. Lovely little pillar interrupting Twist's Q there, because Gooby was in danger, and then being able to survive that was huge over for the side of Nativz. Dem Voxney did just finish his cull as well off the back of that, so he's going to be sitting pretty fairly soon, as it does look like it's just a death ball game from Verdant. They're just rotating Wendell, Niter, Taxa around the map constantly. Bot lane though, Gooby's in danger. There goes the charm, there goes the cleanse. Gooby's down. Teleport coming in. Wendell going to see if he can find an opportunity to get in. The whole team's joining into this fray. Shikari needs to find a great equalizer. Lily jumps straight onto Dem Voxney, but that equalizer is toasting Verdant, cooking through members left, right, and center as Nilly's in danger, slowed down by the Kindred. They can't chase any further. Nativz pulling everybody down to try and get Dem Voxney out.
And it's beautiful, right? It all starts with Nativz surviving that dive and Verdant saying, oh, we got to go mid lane now. We got to catch that wave. We got to let Nita catch that wave. Nativz's bot side used this time to actually dive out on Gooby here, finding that pick, and suddenly it's chaos, right? Suddenly you have 10 teleports coming in. It's a 5 versus 5, which Nativz get the better of.
Absolute party down in the bot lane. The more things change, the more they stay the same, right? We make all these changes to teleport. Top laners get angry that they don't have impact in the game early enough. We give them some teleports, and all of a sudden, we're getting 10 people down in our bot lanes at 12 minutes. It's how League of Legends should be. I agree, Aragon. It is absolutely beautiful to witness. Still without any turrets having gone down, though, and we do get to see what looks to be a second Herald secured for Taxa. And one small intangible, or maybe fairly tangible actually, is that the junglers are on very different power curves right now. We're seeing Stefan 2 full levels over Taxa. Now, he may ding 9 off of this Herald take, but being that far behind, and particularly when it's a carry jungler for Stefan, he didn't have this advantage when he was playing the Karthus in game number 1. This time on the Kindred, working his way through the levels very quickly, the enemy jungle very quickly as well. Taxa playing much more facilitatory, where Stefan definitely playing more greedy. For the time being, it's working out for Stefan.
Yubi playing well there. A good bit of gameplay, not dying to that cross hop as Verdant take that. Oh, I think it might be engaged.
Oh, they jumped everything onto Demvoxny, but a great little buy of time here. Stefan can jump over the wall if he needs to, and he may have to. He fails the dance over the wall as they fall the teleport in and everything. The whole team collapses on mid.
I respect the leniency there from Verdant. As soon as they see Stefan, they see that the Lamb's Respite is ready if it's needed. So committing to Demvoxny, not the optimal time to go for it. And as well as that, Gooby not quite there in time with the teleport, so they aren't able to find a big encore that can potentially win a team fight for them. They also burn Demvoxny's flash. That's a really big cooldown for Nativz if they don't have the Sivir flash, a very short range AD carry whose only real mobility comes from that on the hunt. If she can get picked off around a Drake fight, which is again spawning inside the next 30 seconds or so, it's going to give Verdant a good chance to find that hyper carry.
Yeah, with this dragon spawning in 30 seconds or so, Shikari's actually behind the curve a little bit. You can see that Nili got the push in and is recalled, and he's already on the wave. It doesn't look like Shikari's actually going to be able to get a base before that, so definitely not going to be able to spend some gold as Nativz secure the mid prior.
You have to respect that he's taking the L in not finding a reset, making sure that he's not ruining his tempo to be here on time. Taking the respectful way as well.
That is not a particularly great space.
No
There's an encore up and available, and it's going to hit the whole team.
Gooby.
But the equalizer is massive. Here's the Lamb's Respite to buy some time. Demvoxny's coming on the flash. Gooby's gone down, and this fight is not over yet. Shikari's toasting them all. They've got low HP, but the ricochets are not up and available. In comes the Q. Vladdy jumps in forwards to the skies. Duskblade proc nearly chases forward with the slice and the dice onto Demvoxny. He has to survive versus 3, and he's unable to do so. Ace over to Verdant.
Drake secured for Verdant. A beautiful fight as well. They stopped the Drake stacking. They used their death ball. They used their front line beautifully. A wonderful foreshadowing for how this team fight is going to go later on. The only real stopping tools that Nativz have got comes from that Lamb's Respite. Verdant are able to wait it out, and they're able to win the fight after it.
Yeah, and pulling the trigger from Verdant right before, immediately before Shikari can even make it in time, and engaging with that Trundle Pillar. Shout out to Taxa right there. He managed to find the engage before Shikari made it down, securing that dragon, and it's put a delay on Nativ's ability to stack Soul.
That's a rough one for them, and I mean, Cloud Soul is going to be super powerful for... realistically, Nativz are going to love Cloud Soul. Both teams are going to be okay with it, though. It gives Taxa and Nili incredible sticking power. They're looking to jump in onto this top side here. Verdant try and close that gap, and it looks like the whole team collapsing over. Teleport available to Shikari. The wave does get somewhat trimmed out here. They are going to slowly but surely clear through that wave. The depth charge knocks up 3. Wendell taking quite a lot of damage here from Stefan. He gets those 3 procs off. Shikari's coming in onto the flank. There's the solar flare down. There's the red carpet laid, and Verdant are just melted. Double kill for Demvoxny. Nili's chasing forward. In comes a huge encore. Nili might be able to get something on the way out here as Demvoxny's being hunted down, but he finds himself the shutdown. And Nativz turn the play around.
Completely against the run of play. 4 for 0 for Nativz, and we've been talking about the top lane timers this entire game. It's Shikari who pulls the trigger earlier on with the teleport and manages to find the winning fight flank. makes his move up to the top side. Nativz secure themselves a turret and secure their pass back into the game.
Yeah, and the big difference maker there was that Nativz just kept the free hit onto Verdant's frontline forever, right? Whereas normally Verdant's frontline is buffed up by the Seraphine shields and just extremely tanky in general. If Verdant managed to find the engage, they run over the side of Nativz, but because Nativz were under turret, Verdant just couldn't do that. And you could see Wendell at the start there just kept getting focused down and burned down by Stefan. And finally, like you highlighted, Rude Dude, that beautiful Shikari flank into the ultage, melting everyone.
Well, as we're hitting that 20-minute mark, it feels this time like Vladdy, he is ahead of the curve compared to Niter. He has 2 items where Niter has only got the 1.5. Then Voxney, 2 items in now at this point to Gooby's 1. This time, this game, Nativz are the ones who are ahead of the curve. The 3,000 gold lead sitting quite comfortably in their pocket. Blue buff over to Vladdy. And, you know, he's still a bit of a ways away from fully stacking that Mirror Mana, which is, you know, another major spike over to him. But with this dragon spawning up in 2-minute time, I think Nativz this time are going to feel a little bit more comfortable going for the contest on that. Shikari is going to play his respect, though, and not get caught out trying to defend this tower until his team can rotate over towards him.
I feel like this toggle of the gold here, we can see where all of the gold lead is for Nativz, and it's in Den Voxney. 3, 2, and 5 on the Sivir. There's a roughly 2,000 gold advantage over his counterpart. And in that last team fight as well, we saw the flanking Sivir come in, take Gooby out of the game. Going to be looking toward Den Voxney to be that consistent DPS threat that will be putting Verdant in the dirt. See if he can rattle away at that front line and use the ricochets to get round the back line.
Yeah, and every single fight, right, I want to highlight another player who doesn't get that much attention, but Gooby has landed these multi-man ultimates every single time, and if they keep going that way, in a more even environment, maybe not under Nativ's tower, those can be absolutely game-winning. We saw it down bot side, we just saw it there, and it was massive impact despite having a man disadvantage. Going forward, I want to keep seeing this from Gooby, because he's putting on a stellar performance on this Seraphine.
Really is. He really is. He's been playing very well on it. Last game, probably a little bit more impactful than this game, but that is also maybe down to the fact his team were just very far ahead. This time, they're not ahead. It's actually the gold lead in Nativ's pocket. And the big thing is this mid tower still standing for Verdant, which on one hand gives them, you know, a safe place to kind of launch all of their attacks onto the map from. But on the other hand, that's some lot gold for Nativ. So that's more gold that could accelerate in their favor. As Verdant are setting up a death brush. They know this dragon needs to be contested. And they are looking for it. The death ball from Verdant hasn't paid off as much as they would have liked it to this game. Could pay off for them here.
Yeah, it's really scary, right? Nativz have no one to face check realistically. If Twist face checks, even though he's a Nautilus, a tanky Nautilus, he will just die. So being first on the objective is super important here. As this poke comes down, Vladdy, yes, he does a bunch of damage, but they have a Seraphine. Right, these heals are going to come through. You can see Nativz want none of it. They don't want a face check with all 5 squishy champions, and they'd rather try and make a cross map onto this Baron.
I mean, it's only Dragon number 2.
Jace is going to be not just a great poking tool, but also probably their leading form of face check.
Oh, they're going straight in. There's going to be the encore into the depth charge. Hello, help on Twist already. Twist is in danger. Huge ultimate to bail him out of danger, as then Voxney still remains untouched. Both teams with low health bars and certain members still feeling comfortable to be able to step up and take these fights. Vladdy can go in for the poke. Niter chunked out once again. The healing and the shielding from the Seraphine, though, is going to buy some space here for Verdant. As Nativz want to step forward once again. They've got 2/3 of that equalizer cooldown left, though, so they can't go for it again immediately.
No ultis available for Verdant at all. Same to be said for Nativz, honestly. It's an absolutely bare knuckle fight if they go for it. They could spawn, so it really does come down to which team wants to bite the bullet and start it up. With Nativz making the executive decision, it looks like they're going to back away, and Verdant using the Seraphine healing to maybe take this Drake for themselves. Starting the Baron up, though, it bit them in game number 1, and I don't know if they want to try and run that same risk again.
They're going to let Niter start it, but this is risky. It looks like the Baron's not going to happen at all.
Yeah, this is the problem, right? This is exactly what I highlighted in Champs. Like, you have no front line. How do you check the objective? You can't, right? The second Verdant have control with all that vision and arrive at the Dragon Pit before you, it's done, right? And next Dragon, I really want to see from Nativz, them on the map, on the river earlier. Take your resets earlier, get there, because if you do not do that, you cannot contest.
That is the key problem. That is the key problem. Wendell using a little bit of HP. Taxa needs to be very careful, but again, you know, it's only really on Twists as they're only engaged. And this mid lane tower still standing is definitely going to be a bit of a problem. It's giving a real safe spot for Verdant to kind of just play the map from.
And Verdant did a really good job there, just staggering their recalls. Sometimes that's a thing that you can punish teams for, but Verdant actually did it really wisely, where Gooby wants to take a reset, so he takes his recall, they shift Niter into mid lane to clear out the mid wave, which is the window where Nativz may have looked to take that turret. Then Niter takes his reset in time for Gooby to get back to the lane, push out the next wave, make sure that that Bastion in the tier in the mid lane is always standing.
Yeah. Lots of vision coming down in the river around Baron, and again, Nativz are posed with the exact same problem. Shikari this time does have some flank TP wards. Take a look at that ward by the blue buff entrance. If he wants to, he can teleport there and catch Verdant completely unawares.
Oh, Vladdy almost died because Voxney didn't get on the red buff circle quick enough. He waited to try and get that, so he didn't pick up the red buff, and that almost cost him his life.
A true team player. I will die to give you your red buff.
So
Could never be in our games.
No, never in my games. I'm not dying for some AD carry. That ain't happening.
Hey, Pran, you don't even main jungle. What are you talking about?
What?
You don't even main jungle. You main LeBlanc.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. No, I feel Vladdy here. Like, I'm not gonna wait outside the circle just so my AD carry can get a red buff and I die. Hell no.
Yeah, just take it yourself. I respect that. Completely respect that.
I would do the same, and I'm AD carry in this position, so
Oh,
you know. I wouldn't let
I knew
you
there
die.
had to be something wrong with you.
Thank you. It took us 2 games, and we thought it was the tech issues, but we found out that I play AD carry, and that's the actual concern.
That is a real concern, bro. That is a real concern.
This is why I'm so happy with Voxney going cleanse. You know, I've been there, I've done that. I've taken Ghost in so many games where I've just got CC'd and died. With Voxney now cleansed up, double summoner spells available as well. He's actually just really safe, and he's also very farmed. He's got 3 items versus just the 2 of Gooby, and you know the utility that Seraphine provides can never be understated, and you don't technically need any items for that utility to be given. The damage there from Gooby last game, not going to be nearly as felt at this stage in the matchup, and obviously Nativz has done a very good job in game number 2 of cycling back the Nativz win condition, making sure that those fights aren't coming as thick and fast as they were in game number 1, and Nativz still find themselves 3k to the good with this Baron live and on the map. Currently traversing through this top side, looking for any stragglers, you know, the potential target.
Yeah, they'd have to do something crazy like flash over the wall here. Stefan could just leap over. Nilly, he's really quick. He could double East Dice and Dice.
Oh, they're doing it. They're throwing the teleport and everything. They are taking Nilly out.
Beautiful.
That is
And then
sad.
Baron.
Or tower.
¿Por qué no los dos?
I think they go for the tower, the safer play.
Just move into there now. Now you have one less frontline issue, right, that Nativz have to deal with. They can burn this down. They have rumble percentage health damage and a Severe who's extremely fed. I think it's just going over to them.
Do you still have that equalizer?
Which makes it really difficult for people to try and face check. You're quite right. Equalizer is also just a great deterrent for Nativz. 8k on the Baron. Taxa, can you do your magic?
Watch for the encore from Gooby. It's going to have to be huge. Solar Flare goes down. There's the encore. Only hits onto Voxney, but he presses W. He does not get hit. Health bar's low on Nativz. Twist is low. The equalizer to get Shikari out. Knight is on low HP as well. And the Baron is dissuaded. Verdant, are they going to turn? They're going to look to turn here, actually. They're feeling comfortable going for it. Stefan has the Lamb's Respite Tech, but there's the Shock Blast. There's the teleport coming in. Nilly's rejoined in, but with the
so
shielding,
tense.
it's so tense. Equalizer is not available, but Shikari's teleporting back in. Stefan can jump over the wall. Lamb's Respite doesn't come down in time. He can't steal it away. Voxney remains untouched at the moment as Nilly's being chased away by Stefan. Stefan's keeping the pressure up. Verdant able to dissuade the Baron and then take it for themselves. Nativz get punished.
And it all starts with a beautiful pick onto Nilly, committing everything for it. Unfortunately, then they try to rush down the Baron without stopping Taxa coming into the pit. Suddenly, you're in melee range of all these carries and these front lines, and you just have to leave. And Verdant managed to turn it around by trying to, start it up. And in the end, we have, teleports coming down everywhere. Rude dude, take it away. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I have to imagine Gooby's just working overtime in that team fight, right?
Yeah.
To poke them away. His encore hit 0 people, but the constant beat drops coming down and making the damage stick in the Baron, especially when people have been tanking up, your resistances are reduced by the Baron buff. I mean, Gooby there, definitely earning his salt on this roster, making sure that the addition for Verdant was worthwhile. And honestly, 2 games of Seraphine. We've seen a lot of good ultis from him so far from game number 1, and with really good poke around objectives like that, only good things to talk about for Gooby so far this series.
That's how you beat the best AD carry in the league. You don't play AD carry into them. Gooby, absolutely beautiful stuff coming in from him. They are going to pick up this dragon number 3, and Verdant are just getting quicker and quicker now, which is starting to be a bit of a concern. Nativz, the key problem is that lack of frontline. They just can't face check any of these objectives. They do still have a Sivir though, so even with the Baron up minions, these waves do get cut through fairly quickly as long as Denvoxy doesn't find himself engaged onto.
And then if we're sort of looking at the minutiae of these compositions as well, you think of Sivir, you think of Rumble, you think of fighting in tight corridors. But then you look at the Verdant comp and you think, well, if an explosive charge and an encore goes through a tight corridor, we just all instantly die. Verdant have got such good answers to pretty much everything that Nativz are putting out. Setting up around this bot tier 2, see if they can finish that one off, but good enough poke from Denvoxy and he's going to ward them away. No vision for TPs to go behind, or no TPs just in general to get behind Verdant here, and they do manage to limp away to safety.
Yeah, don't manage to break the tier 2 tower, which is a good thing for Nativz, but still, that's a very scary siege coming out for the side of Verdant. The poke actually coming down for the side of Nativz, though, is really good. Despite having all those shields, you know, that Jace poke, the harpoons from Shikari is actually sticking. You can see Denvoxy weaving in some Qs as well, so win condition there, you know, maybe poke them out, try, but I can't help but feel like this draft has put Nativz in such a hard position.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the major failing that they've got right now is their comp just has no frontline. Like, it's your engages on Nautilus are, that's like your safe long range engage, like really not long range
also
at all.
Attack range for a ranged champion, right? Yeah.
Or like that miracle Q, but if you hit the wrong person, Nautilus is dragged into their team and is in some serious danger. And it's also support. So they don't have access to as much gold, so they don't have as tankier stats, and they can't survive as long as they haven't got the levels. I do worry that Nativz have just drafted themselves into a bit of a corner here, and I understand why they went for the Kindred, because they didn't want to pick a tank jungler into that Trundle, but the counter pick of this Kindred hasn't really paid the dividends it needed to. I can think of one fight this game where I think that Lamb's Respite was really good, but I was expecting to see a Q over the wall, Lamb's Respite on the Baron for the steal, but they just didn't press their buttons in quick enough. Baron goes down. Kindred has to jump back over the wall to safety, and I don't know, the game's in a dangerous state here for Nativz. I don't want to say it's over. It does not look anywhere near as over as game number 1 did, but this game number 2, it feels like Verdant are starting to ramp up now, and I'm not sure Nativz have the answer.
We've all seen 600 CS Sivir win conditions, right? And we've all seen Denvoxy back against the wall work miracles. You can almost never count out Nativz, right? Game number 1 aside, I think we could count them out that time, but this time round, I think when they're on much more even footing, at this stage in the game, still definitely up for grabs for Nativz and for Verdant to take. Of course, no objectives up for the next 3 minutes, so we are going to enter this a little bit of a quieter time on Summoner's Rift, and then we get to see the real shot calling come to action. Who's going to focus on that top side? Who's going to head toward that Baron and stop potential souls going down as well? Nativz are the ones that have got some real questions to be answered. As Verdant, if they don't want to take the next dragon, they don't have to. Yeah, they'd get a soul, but if they can trade it for a Baron in exchange for one Cloud Dragon that doesn't give Nativz a soul, they'll be more than happy with that as well.
Yeah, 1-4 coming in from Verdant. If Nativz want to defend this, they have to engage now, but it doesn't look like they're going to, although the ult's been popped from Denvoxy.
Yeah, they do look to go in immediately. Solar Flare comes down. Denvoxy stayed alive for quite a while. He's actually getting a lot of damage with that Ricochet. Overcomes Niter. Denvoxy flashes away. The carpet's laid down, and the Ricochet did enough damage for them to find the tidy up. Laddie gets himself a kill with the Empowered Shock Blast, and it's a 2-for-2 trade.
Certainly one that favours Nativz at this point. The fact that they only lose jungle and support versus the bot laner being lost for Verdant. I think Gooby is a very high priority target for Nativz to take down in these team fights. Not because of the damage that the Seraphine is doing, but because of that consistent healing that's coming through. The ability to allow Verdant to stay out on the map is given exclusively by this Seraphine at the minute.
So Niter jumping over that wall there was actually particularly good, because now you forced Denvoxy's flash, and at this crucial soul point fight in 2 minutes time, Denvoxy's not going to have flash. right? So you can just dump everything, and Dinvox has to play so well with his positioning, waiting out all the threats before he actually manages to DPS. He won't get a dream situation like that again, right? Where he's free hitting and all the ricochets are bouncing off everywhere, his Q hits everyone. It's just not going to happen because it's going to be in River. And without that flash, there's a lot of danger there.
And if we look at the flashes on the other side as well, Nilla's flash is coming up, Tax's flash coming up. Wendell has already got his, so if we see one misplaced spell shield, Clean's probably not going to be up until a very close window for Denvoxney on that timing of the Soul Spawn. Nativz definitely got a tricky situation ahead of them, and Denvoxney in particular going to need to be very cognizant of where he's playing this server. Obviously a very short range AD carry by design. You got that lethal tempo stacked and potentially a little bit of extra movement speed there. You can start to tether in a couple of autos, but still very difficult setup for him.
I also just want to go back, speaking of setup, towards this dragon as well, because this is something which Aragon highlighted earlier on in the cast, is we really need to see Nativz get into the river early. They have a minute till this dragon spawns up. If they want to contest this, they need to be moving over now. The problem is Stefan's on a reset, then Voxy's clearing waves mid, and I don't think they're going to be able to get into the river in time, because now they're going to have to look for that face check scenario, which we saw has denied them the last 2 dragons of this game.
Yeah, and another problem they have is if they get in early down to bot river, then Verdant can just choose to, you know, we go to Baron, and now you have to face check another river, right? So it's just flaws in the composition, holes in the composition where you want to draft another frontliner alongside the Nautilus support, because the Nautilus support cannot frontline on his own. Right? You have Shikari as a pseudo tank, but it's just not enough as a standoff ensues.
You know, we're just missing some really important items. Looking at Shikari in particular.
There's the ultimate already. They get the ultimate down. The Encore doesn't quite land. Beautiful lay down with the red carpet. Zhonya's has been used. Nilly's being toasted. Tax is low HP, and Vladdy's going to keep the chase up onto him. Gets him with the shock blast. And that should just be Baron over the Nativz, or are they going to go for Dragon? It looks like the Dragon is going to be their attention. They want to secure this and don't want to give Soul over.
I think that the Drake is just a little bit of a safer play. All of the talk about these front lines, though, Verdant just refused to use theirs at that situation. Denvoxney stepping up, auto-attacking for free, found 0 threat on him when he's got no flash, no cleanse. Verdant just honestly letting the Sivir free hit right there. That's their own mistake.
Yeah, I think the idea is like you kite out the Sivir ult and then you fight the Sivir when she doesn't have ulti and you go from there, but Dinvoxney wasn't having that and he autoed them to death with that ricochet and pushed them off. This was the best case scenario for Nativz, not fighting in this river. Dinvoxney just gets to free hit right without the engagings from the Verdant. Oh, Jace, no matter how many times I see an EQ, I will always just be surprised at how much damage it does.
And Gooby's been the one to eat the last 2. Baron's picked up. There's the Encore. Does land onto a couple of members. They've still got the Land's Respite. Twisters on that flank. Vladdy jumping straight in onto that backline. He's low HP, but he's able to survive it just a little bit longer. The Dustblade buying him space. Stefan jumping forward. Jumps in with a flash. Trying to get that final proc onto Nilly. Unable to get it. The hook coming in onto Nita. Taxa gets caught by the ulti. They've popped themselves there on the hunt. And Taxa is run down. A double kill for Denvoxney. Triple kill make it. Baron in pocket, Dragon in pocket, and this base is going to be a mess.
Frontline be damned. Nativz completely turn around their game 1 fortunes around the Baron. This time they step it up when they need to, and this time they're going to take the game.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any contest that can come in. Maybe a miracle play by Nilly, but the Lamb's Respite denies any opportunity. Down he goes. The Nexus falls, and we're tied 1-1 apiece.
And I will defend Verdant a little bit. I think they got a little bit unlucky with that.